Okay, YouTube land, what's good? This is your host from the Gulf Coast doing the most. Donte.
And Shellie.
We are the yin and yang of Short-Term Rentals podcast. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Booyaka, booyaka, booyaka. Animal noises.
Darn fools.
And cut. All right. Woo! Ric Flair, woo! Here we go. Yo, tuned in for another episode of the Yang and Yang podcast. Wow, my co-host Shellie does the Ric Flair dance because whether you love it or hate it, we all know it.
We all know it. Shout out to Rick.
I saw him on Joe Rogan the other day, and I was like, man, Rick is still Rick. It's so
Rick
funny.
is still Rick.
So it's a great day. It's a Saturday morning on the Gulf Coast. We're out in Florida, and we want to talk to all of you listeners who've tuned into us about, just Airbnb content. For those who don't know, who might be new, we both operate Airbnbs. We are both new to Airbnb as of this year. And we're just going to share a lot about our experiences and the things that
Airbnb newlyweds.
Yeah.
We're in the first year.
Let's get it.
We're newlyweds.
And we're actually doing all right.
We're doing well.
So as people are listening, I was like, first episode, they probably don't know why we even went on this venture because, everyone's probably seen a lot of YouTube videos and people talking about, you can make money doing this and Airbnb, da. But it's not right for everybody's situation. You got to do a little bit of planning. You got to understand the market, and it might not fit for you. There's other ways to invest and to make money in the world. So
right.
Why did we choose that? And I'll go ahead and just, start it off. My story is a little bit more unique because I didn't come from a real estate background or investor background or having business people in my immediate family. So investing is something that I'm pretty much the pioneer in and kind of just going for stuff. But I've always been like a doer. I take action. I learned along the way. So I went through a lot of financial issues in the previous years since COVID, really. I'm talking about like my music career took a tank. My relationship ended. COVID happened. It affected my job. Like all these things financially started affecting me. I became a renter again. It's very expensive to do. And I knew that like I hadn't saved up enough money really because I was investing into a business while I was working. So it's like my savings was damn near nothing. Like it was very minimal.
Just to keep the account open.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just there to keep the account open, honestly, for real. Because I was like investing, just committed. So I didn't have a lot of savings. And, one thing I wanted to do was get myself my own home because I knew that would be a big piece of me starting to get some security and some foundation. So I went through a program, got my home, and I've been living it since last year.
Congrats.
Which was, yes, it was a very big moment for my life. It's really changed my life, honestly. And I could probably get like more emotional into it because it's a big deal for me personally because of all the things I went through. But I'll say that for another episode.
But we will go there because I do want to celebrate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something, especially from our communities. It's something that is it's a bigger deal than maybe it's for other people because this is not something that you can see as much often as you should be seeing it, home ownership. But as I came into this, I already knew that I needed more money than maybe most because of where I was financially. So I was already trying to think about how to maximize this to be something that generates more money. And Airbnb was something that came to me because, I was doing music and I had a friend I was recording with, him and his wife were Airbnb-ing. And I was like, I didn't know this for like maybe a month when me and him worked together and collabed on music. So I go over his house to record and talk, and he's like, yeah, man. And I was like, where do you got Airbnb? He's like, yeah, we rent out a room. And I was like, what? You rent out just a room? You can Airbnb a room? I was so blown away that you could do a room because I was like, you need to have a house to Airbnb. And he's like, no, man, we rent out a room, and him and his girl were
hold on. So your experience had been, because you had actually been an Airbnb guest prior to that,
yeah. Like I've used Airbnb, especially when I was doing music and we were going to the other cities performing in Atlanta. And I think we also did a couple ones in like Montgomery and some other places. Then personally, I've taken trips to other places to see things and use Airbnb. New Orleans was another place that we Airbnb'd a couple times.
So at that time, the platform didn't indicate room versus entire house, or you just never paid attention?
Never paid attention, really.
Okay.
But I've always, because I think, it was me and my another artist in my team, we were the ones who actually had the accounts. We always just did the house because we were always traveling together. So I never really thought about using it for
just a room.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So when they told me that, and they were real honest with me, they were like, "Man, we made like $10K renting out this room," and I was like, "Okay, this is what I need to try. I need to try this." So when I got my house, I had every intention of, I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, and I was like, I'm renting out one of these rooms. I don't need 3 bedrooms, I was like, but someone else might be able to use it. And then my location is very optimal for somebody. I feel like there was some value there. I live very close to downtown Pensacola.
Yep.
I live very close to the beach, like 15, 20 minutes away, a couple beaches, and there's some other beaches that are not too far.
Yeah.
Close to the airport, close to the interstate, close to the mall.
Yeah.
Close to the hospitals. So it was just like somebody, and I was really like, some traveling workers and some people who were like couples who want to get away, have a little weekend and stuff like that. That was the demographic I was targeting. So my why was very much financial, but I also saw that it could really be of value to some people who don't need a whole house and don't need long stays. It's just like, hey man, I might need just a place to stay when I'm traveling, or someone who's like working for a couple, who knows how long, just doing some jobs, got a project, whatever, like want to see a show. I've had people from Germany come in who just wanted to see a show of vinyl just for a day, a night.
What's funny is you were a bit of a nomad for several years.
Yes.
And so your target market was also someone. And I find that interesting because I think your target market often reflects you.
I never even looked at it like that, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so long story short, my why was very financial. Because I've listened to entrepreneurs and business owners as I've done my own business and being an artist, I was like, we got to be creative. So I invested on the jump of me getting a house into maybe some other things to really elevate the rooms that I had so that someone would be very comfortable. Like I really invested into like the bed to make sure that I was super comfortable because I knew that was like the biggest thing outside of location of why someone might want to come and rate me high or come back and rate me high. It's like, the bed was comfortable. They get their own bathroom too, and all these things. So anyways, like I knew that like, even if it made me like $500 a month, I was like, it would be worth it.
Yeah,
it would be worth
absolutely.
it. It would pay for itself and it'll add extra income to my situation so I can get back on my legs and be able to like, feel more financially secure. And that's really what I was looking for. And I was looking for a way that was reasonable. And yeah, that's kind of my why. So,
but I think also too, you had some friends who fell into situations where they needed some help too.
Yeah, so and I gloss over that because it's
important.
That's a whole thing. When I first got my spot, I had friends reach out to me who wanted to rent rooms, and the first one was going to help me manage Airbnb a little bit. So I was like, okay, she had some domestic things going on, so she was really needing immediate living situation. So I opened it up, and then her daughter had domestic shit going on, so she needed immediate. So I wound up having 2 roommates and not being able to Airbnb.
Oh, wow.
And it became a very bad experience because the place was getting trashed. A lot of things happened. They didn't pay, So it was real like landlord type issues I was going through. And I had to go through an eviction process with them after we've had several attempts of trying to rectify this. And that became a very expensive thing too. So that dwindled a lot of the expenses that I was saving because I was like, they couldn't stay here no more. And I was like, if they're not going to leave on their own terms, and I'm going to give them the terms they're going to have to leave on. So that really hit the pockets. That hit the pockets late 2022. And also, I was, like I said earlier, I was pursuing some love interests, and I was spending a little bit of money that I should have probably been saving a little bit on pursuing that because,
you got to pay the cost to be the boss.
I'm one of those guys who just was like, if I find someone, I'm going to commit and money's going to, whatever. It was just like, those two things were happening simultaneously that were dwindling my finances that I could be saving. So yeah, the money need was very big because as the economy was having all this news about recession and all these things.
Right.
I mean, that was really weighing on me because I was like, if anything happens, I'm going to be in a bad position, like to the house or to me, the car or whatever. Like, it's going to be tough. Like, I'm going to have to borrow money. And I was like, no, man.
And I love that. Not that all that happened to you. let me.
And I love that you feel that so many things.
No.
Because now I can talk about what not to do to everyone.
No. Well, it definitely is a cautionary tale, but no, I love that you're, honest about your story and how becoming an Airbnb host not only helped your personal economic situation, but even that of others. And because again, we hear so much anti-Airbnb propaganda. You see it online more so than not. You hear about it on the news. Then people get at the water cooler, so to speak, and they're talking about it. And sadly, a lot of these people don't host, don't know anything about hosting, and they just kind of start chewing on this story that they've heard and about how Airbnb is actually having an adverse impact on housing and the economy.
Yeah, and you got to get both sides of the story before anyone makes judgments. Like, everyone's going to be free to judge a market industry for whatever, but like, you want to hear both sides. And you always get the loudest people who are complaining really dominating the narrative about things.
Absolutely.
But you don't ever hear about the people who are like, it's helping them get out of dire situations. So that's why I was like, I really do like, I'm okay with sharing this because it's like, someone might not even known how this could have really saved me financially of just being able to utilize Airbnb.
Absolutely. Like you said, new homeowner, but life situations, you really could have been on the brink of losing what you had just acquired, and you took all these years to acquire it. And so Airbnb opened up an opportunity for you to remain housed.
Yes.
When there's so much of a narrative that Airbnb is the problem of the housing industry. So I just think that is a testimony and a story that needs to be shared. So thank you for being vulnerable and willing to share that story.
That's what kind of guy I am. I'm very
oh my gosh,
vulnerable, admirable,
and single.
And single.
Yeah, so that's working out for you.
We're working
good.
on that. No. But yeah, so go ahead.
No. So my journey was a lot more deliberate later. It wasn't. I was the opposite. I had people saying to me, "You should be doing Airbnb." I had a friend who, again, we will invite her on. But she prefers staying in Airbnb as opposed to hotels. And so I definitely have extended an invitation so that we can get her perspective as host.
Yeah.
And our listeners as well is why. And so there's that segment of the community, although again, there's all this propaganda that, Airbnb is the devil.
And just to touch, because I want to add some context to your why, because you might go into it, but people might not know. You are someone who I was like, when I got into it, I told you why. Now everyone knows why. But when you were getting into it and we started talking about it, I was more surprised because I was like, financially, I was like, I don't see you having such a need for it. And I was like, you got a good job, career, you got a husband, you got a good career, you got kids, like you're straight. And it's like, what makes a person who can be very comfortable living this suburban middle class life, like what makes them want to take on Airbnb because it's a job, it's something that was like, I really wanted to hear your why. So I definitely am excited to hear about this and to share it with the people.
Yeah, my why was not about money at all.
Yeah, which is fascinating.
Which is fascinating to you. Yeah, it wasn't. As you said, financially, I was very comfortable. We were buying our, third house. And I had done a long-term rental for, about 15 years.
Yeah.
So I had been a realtor before. I know the sides of buying, selling, the sides of property management, obviously. Being a landlord myself for, over a decade. And so I got into it because I heard God tell me to do it. To be honest, when people were saying, why don't you do it? I had no interest. I didn't want people staying with me because it was the opposite. You didn't know people did their room. That's all I knew of Airbnb.
Yeah, that you would be there while they were there.
I would be there while they're staying in a room, and I was like, nah, not with me and my kids. Nah, we ain't doing that. I watch too many horror movies. Folks,
what's the movie you said? Gotcha.
Here's Johnny. He coming in with the axe. He don't care nothing about this door.
Locked door ain't gonna stop
me.
Yeah, let's stop when that lock. You done picked a couple locks.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson. No, we ain't doing that. Jack Nicholson look crazy, just normal. So shout out to you, Jack. But no, so I wasn't comfortable with sharing my space with a stranger. Mm-hmm. I wasn't comfortable with that.
Fair enough.
And so when I did hear God tell me to start an Airbnb, I immediately knew I was gonna have to look for another house for my family because they ain't staying with us. And God knows who He created, so you already know, God, that they ain't gonna be staying with us because you know me. You know how you made me. So that means it's time to get up out of here. But as I was sharing with you before, that what was interesting was about 2 years prior to that, we started, just doing little improvements to the house a little bit at a time so we didn't have to go into debt. And as we were doing it and I was starting to fall in love with the house more and more as we were making improvements, I remember sharing with a few people, but one in particular, real estate agent, shout out to Bishop Smooth Move Realty. She's going to be a guest on here as well, talking to us as well. But I was sharing with her, I said, I feel like I'm going to get this house exactly how I want it, and then I'm going to leave.
Wow.
Almost like I'm doing it for somebody else.
For real. Like, that's what's crazy about it, because, it wasn't money motivated, and your whole heart was into just preparing it for someone else to enjoy the experience of it.
That's when that's where the passion came. When it was like, hey, you need to put this house on Airbnb, I immediately got up and started walking around deciding what I was going to leave in that house and what I wasn't going to take with me. And as you know, I have some quality pieces. And so I knew then, I started getting the vision for it being an upscale luxury retreat of sorts, getaway. And so much so that when you travel to the area, that you wanted to stay in the house. Obviously, you're in the area for whatever reason, but that you were going to enjoy the time staying in the house. Florida's awesome in a lot of ways. People love coming. I'm less than 10 minutes from the beach myself. But sometimes it rains, and sometimes, and then you don't want to go out.
A lot of times it rains.
But I wanted people, if they had one of those rainy days or something like that, that they enjoyed just being in the space.
Yeah, and that's super important too, because people who are not from here don't really have a backup plan.
Yeah.
I mean, people who live here sometimes don't have a backup plan, but I mean, you're forced to have one when you live here long enough. So keeping that in mind for people who are traveling and preparing a place for them is like, someone's going to be like, I'm glad. I didn't think I would love the size of this or the amenities in here this much, but there was so much rain the weekend we came down that we had something for our kids to do.
Absolutely.
It's like it was very big because I'll come down here regardless of like what the weather is like now that I know.
Right, and that I get so much feedback from the kids, to be honest.
Yeah.
From the parents with kids, my kids love the PlayStation.
I've seen the one of the notes they wrote. Y'all haven't seen it, but like the kids give like their feedback.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing. Like the kids are a big motivating factor of like why people go where they go.
Absolutely. So
you got a PS2 that a PlayStation you said?
Yeah. It's a PlayStation for the kids. We got books for all ages. We have toys for the little ones who are not quite into the video game.
You really did this for the guests, for real.
It is really for the guests, and then I ask, right? So they tell you how many guests, and so I will ask what the ages are. That's something I do very early on when they first book with me. I ask what their plans are. And we'll get into the business model a little bit more.
We're diving into a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm going too far. But yeah, so I got into it to pour into the people. And that's where my passion is. And so, yeah, if I don't book at all in a month, it's not going to be a problem for me because I didn't do it for the money.
Right.
But here's the plus of that. Going back to helping the economy a bit. What was that hurricane that was coming? I can't remember.
This year?
Yeah, it was.
Through like Tampa, Orlando, or whatever.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, coming through there. I can't remember what it was, but I was able to put my space on Airbnb.org, where they get to stay.
Oh, like a relief. Like
yes.
You're trying to get away, and dude, that's dope.
And on Airbnb.org, and we'll do a segment on it, but that was going to help them as well. They get to stay there for free.
That's cool. I didn't even think about that. Like,
you didn't think about a lot with your Airbnb.
Because like everyone knows, like, I remember when we had a hurricane and we stayed in a gym one time when it came through.
Oh, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, so like it's like such an a dire situation when a storm's coming through and you have to leave and you're like, where can we go? Like everyone's going to all the places that are available. So Airbnb provides like more places on top of the existing ones.
Absolutely.
People come to, and it's like you might have just really helped save a situation that's like you don't even know how big these people needed that. Because I'm like, if we didn't have this gym, I was like,
y'all have been riding out the storm.
Yeah.
Outside on the highway. Yeah.
Super dangerous type of stuff. So, dude, that's awesome that like Airbnb has given people the opportunity to have that happen.
Yeah, and so if you're the person who doesn't necessarily need the money, you can still help people and you feel comfortable with it. So we'll do a segment on that. So, but yeah, so that's why I started, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'm so glad that I was led to do it.
Yeah, and I've been more fulfilled and happy with the experience than I thought I was going to be. It's been fun.
It is. It is. So it's work. It's work, like you said.
Yeah.
But oh my God, I love it. Like I absolutely love it. There have been times where like I wasn't happy with the cleaning people, and I was like, this doggone pillowcase got all these wrinkles in it. And I literally was there at like 11 o'clock at night ironing pillowcases. But I loved it. And my husband's sitting there and he's kind of like, when did you iron our pillowcase?
He's like, do I gotta be an Airbnb guest to get my... He's like, he's gonna book. You gonna see? I don't know. Book.
Just so I can go ahead and get my pillowcase.
So across the book on Airbnb.
And I'm not even like, man, I'm not going off. I'm just like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't no. You gotta we ain't having this. Mm-mm. And so I deal with them later, but no, we ain't doing this.
That's
this is not the
hilarious.
standard, you know.
That's
And
hilarious.
so I'm doing it, and then got the other one, and da-da-da. And he's just like, But I love it. So that's what, when it's your passion, it's work, but it don't feel like work.
True.
You know, and so
I love it.
yeah, that's why I started.
Yeah, man. Now you guys know our whys, so if you guys can relate at all, you know, encourage you guys to take some action. If not, you can just listen to us talk about our experience.
And learn from Donte in the Capone style tax situation.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? just enjoy the ride.
All right, y'all. Till next time.
Watch me do my thing.
No VVS on my neck, probably cost more than my check. No disrespect, I just ain't flexing for them fools on the net. Question the setting, yeah, but you can't mistake the value. Cities sleeping on me like they hooked on volume. Catch a wave or float away. Sick of sitting sideline, I made a play. Anxious about opinions, they gon' hate me anyways. Either rise to the occasion or you caving like souffle. Attaché, no Hemingway.